right, good morning, folks. Today is Friday, May 13th. Welcome to the Daily Cyber Threat Brief, Simply Cyber's morning cybersecurity threat briefing. I'm your host, Gerald Auger, and over the next 30 minutes, I'll be delivering the top cybersecurity news of the day and providing expert analysis on each of those stories. What it means to you as a practitioner, or if you're looking to break into the industry, definitely going to be a lot of value here. Shout out and thanks to this stream sponsor, the one and only Barricade Cyber Solutions. Cyber criminals have stolen your company's data and derailed your business operations. Barricade Cyber Solutions will help you resolve this ransomware attack and get your business back on track. I want to remind you, hold on, I definitely want to remind you. If you hold professional certifications that require CPEs, each episode of the Daily Cyber Threat Briefing is worth half a CPE, so that's 2.5 a week, 10 a month. They stack up. Be sure to document literally the easiest way and most enjoyable way that I know of to earn CPEs. Just say hello, tell us where you're from, say something that has, if you're using like a fake name or whatever, like Fuzzy Futz or Majestic 69 or whatever your handle is, make sure you say it's Brent Gary or whatever. That way, if you get audited, you can tell the certification body that was in fact you, right? What's up, Brent Gary? What's up, Emerson? It is Friday, so it's great to see you guys. Hopefully, Matt Mears makes his way in here. If you are live, love it. Love it every single time you guys are here live with us. Thank you so much. You make the show really, really enjoyable. If you're on replay, thank you for catching the restream. I know I love it when you guys are watching the restream and dropping comments in. I do read the comments. Some of you have great insight into some of the stories that I have no idea about, and I really appreciate getting that perspective. If you're watching on replay and you want to jump right to the juicy bits, the timer right at the middle there, when that gets to 0, would typically start around there. But for the next 1 minute and 29 seconds, I'm happily going to be drinking some coffee and welcoming all of my friends into chat. Hello, Junior. What's up, Alex? Hey, Rolando. Good to see you, man. Heavy storms rolling through the low country. Oh, it is Friday the 13th. That makes a lot of sense because I took my dogs out. They're not happy. It's raining. There's shingle dust everywhere, asphalt bits, whatever you want to call it. There's like loose nails. The dogs don't typically go on leash, so they're like, what the hell? Or what is this? I'm not comfortable with this. Are you taking me out to the glue factory? Like, I'm wearing a baseball hat because I didn't have a chance to get ready this morning. It's a hot mess on fire up in here. Hey, Anna Lynn, Nathan Bolin, Nick Barker, thanks for the squad sub. Much love. Hey, Carrie, Brian Peak. Yeah, the whole East Coast must be getting it right now. Hey, Kimberly, good to see you. I was going to wear I'm involved with the U.S. Cyber Games as kind of like a promotion side. They certainly don't have me executing as Team USA on anything. But they sent me a really cool official U.S. team, cyber team jersey with my my name on the back and everything like that. I was going to wear it today, but this is a long sleeve, comfy shirt, baseball hat, throw on Big Lebowski in the background and just kind of get up to speed on your own speed today kind of day. So anyways, that's what's going on. Let me get a couple more slugs of this coffee and then we'll get into the news. Hey, Black Knight. Hey, Frank Ruiz. Good to see you, Nathan. Always nice. Stefan Semiroth, my man. Yeah, Majestic 69. Yep. We got that sweet future pop sound going right now. Thank you, Restream. Hey, Lupe, good to see you. Karen, Chris Hidalgo, recent squad sub. Thanks, Chris. Joseph Itel, good to see you. Lupe, I'm not sure when that second interview is going to be, but obviously, really pulling for you and best wishes in that. The roof is not completely done yet, but they're doing a professional job. I'm pretty pumped about it. Hey, Mark Lester, good to see you. Guys, really quick, if you didn't have an opportunity to join last night for the Simply Cyber live stream, we had Erica McDuffie on as a surprise guest. I was obviously on, and we went bananas all up in GRC entry-level analyst interview questions. Gave a lot of perspective on that stuff. Hey, Anna Lynn. Yeah, Anna, if you didn't get a chance, check that stream out from last night. Erica and I dropped a lot of gems in there. Erica more than me. I just facilitate. Hey, Ms. Julian. I always gotta say Ms. Julian because my virtual assistant that sits on my desk lights up when I say Ms. Julian's first name. All right, guys. I think I'm ready. The coffee's starting to flow. Yeah, get the stretch on. Woo! Okay, let's go. If you guys want to play along, go on over to cisoseries.com. Cisoseries.com is where David Spark and his gang post the daily briefs that we get together. By the way, fun fact, I reached out to David Spark. I was like, dude, can we get on a call and just like talk and meet and greet and stuff like that? And he was totally amicable to that. So I'm going to have a meeting with him next week. I'm pretty pumped about it. All right, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy the velvety tones of the cybersecurity headlines.
From the CISO series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
It's Friday, May 13th, 2022. Google will use mobile devices to thwart phishing attacks. Google this week announced anti-phishing efforts that will make it possible to use Android and iOS devices in the same way as physical security keys, such as Google's Titan. Google is bundling the Titan capability into mobile devices where Android and iOS devices use Bluetooth to verify they are in physical proximity to the device that the user is trying to log onto. Google is also expanding the types of Google prompt challenges that users may experience if their login attempts look potentially fraudulent, including challenging users to connect their mobile devices to the same Wi-Fi network as the device that they are attempting to log into.
Okay, so guys, this is actually really cool. I have one like hot take or whatever, like one minor concern that my risk antenna flipped up on immediately when I saw it. Okay, so check this out. Multi-factor authentication. It's not a silver bullet, but it's definitely another layer of protection on thwarting unauthorized access, right? Which in a zero trust architecture world where you have to protect the user account, not so much the perimeter of the network, although you should be doing both. Multi-factor is huge. Now, we have documented on the or we've covered in the show multiple times how you can bypass multi-factor authentication. There's a host of different ways, including social engineering. There are some technical ways to do it. The physical token, like sometimes you see these like UB keys. That's a really popular brand. You have to like physically insert it into the computer. In the military, we see these things called CAC or common access cards. They're basically the military ID badge, but they have a chip in it, and you have to insert it, kind of like you do at the store when you do it with your credit card now. Again, physical key, like some multi-factor, something you have, something you are, something you know. It's got to be one of those three things. And the something you have is very difficult for threat actors who are remote to fake, right? So this is cool. But Google's basically saying your Android device will have baked in functionality of that kind of hardware key. That's cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I would argue that I would hope that Apple would see this and actually take note and actually move forward with this, because this is going to become the norm. What sucks, two things that suck. One, companies like YubiKey and these third parties that make one-off devices, their business model is completely destroyed because everybody, not everybody, but most people own an Android phone or an iPhone. And it will take a few years for the new phone devices that have the hardware keys built into them to roll out to market as people, exchange their old phone for a new phone, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to take a few years. But dude, you're basically selling like what's something that just went completely by the way of the dodo? Like you're selling like calling cards you know what I mean? Like you're selling some product that no one needs anymore because they already have it, or the need for it no longer exists in the market. So this is going to destroy companies like YubiKey, in my opinion. But my one hot take, check this out, buried deep in the story, right here. A new Google prompt will require users to connect their mobile device to the same Wi-Fi network as the device they're attempting to log into. Okay, so check that out. This means like I'm trying to log in with my laptop and my Android phone is like, "Hey, is that you, Jerry?" And then I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." And it's like, "Prove it. Connect your phone to the Wi-Fi network." Okay, so here's my cynical hot take on this one. Google has it's been like public it's been uh d- what's the word I'm looking for? Like written on, like reported. It's been reported on that Google was harvesting all the Wi-Fi network data that the Google Maps cars were picking up. So right, like Google Maps is driving, the car's got the big stupid camera on top, and it's mapping driveways and everything like that. And there was the big stink about people's faces. Yeah, okay. What people don't know is it was also sucking up all of the Wi-Fi network traffic, Wi-Fi network names, BSSIDs, what channels it was on, what devices were in the area. They couldn't really tell what was connected to what networks. But my point is, there was no reason for them to collect that, but they were collecting it and doing whatever with it. So by forcing a phone to connect to the same Wi-Fi network, which by the way, you may not even have access to the Wi-Fi network, like, or you're paying per device, like at a hotel or something. Um, it just this right here isn't awesome. This is fine for your home network, but like I don't know. Like hopefully this is one option that you can opt into, not like you have to do this for certain cases. But um, I'm calling minor shenanigans with this. I see what they're trying to do, but there is potential for privacy and just inconvenience too.
CISA urges organizations to patch actively exploited F5 big IP vulnerability. Following on with one of the main stories of the week, CISA now has added the recently disclosed F5 big IP flaw to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog following reports of active abuse in the wild. The flaw, assigned the identifier CVE 2022-1388 with a CVSS score of 9.8, concerns a critical bug in the big IP iControl REST endpoint that provides an unauthenticated adversary with a method to execute arbitrary system commands. Horizon3.ai said in a report, quote, "An attacker can use this vulnerability to do just about anything they want on the vulnerable server," end quote. This includes making configuration changes, stealing sensitive information, and moving laterally within the target network, as well as being able to completely erase targeted servers as part of destructive attacks to render them inoperable by issuing an rm-rf/command that recursively deletes all files.
All right. Who wasn't a kid and walked up to someone else's computer like at Radio Shack and did RMRF? Am I right? Okay. So check this out. This from the desk of this was going to be obvious. Whatever. So from the desk of what would be obvious, big IP vulnerability that we've been talking about all week. Black Hills did a big thing on Wednesday about it, is actively being exploited. We knew that there were proof of concepts out there, right? We knew that this was upticking and you can use Shodan to find these devices. This was going to happen. So if you have F5, big IP in your environment, and you weren't already aware of that, you probably need to get this sorted out and then think about like how you're getting your threat intelligence and think about how you're doing your information sharing. And by the way, like contact F5 and be like, bro, like we have one of these devices. You're the vendor. How could you not have told us, right? I would suspect by and large, most organizations that have these devices in their environment have been trying to figure out how to get this done or have gotten it done. The fact that they're being actively exploited clearly means that some were not being fixed in time. So I'll just the one thing that obviously the urgency is to get this fixed, but if you can do anything on the device, that's a big problem, including changing configurations. This is a network appliance, right? So you can change the ACLs to allow malicious traffic in. You could denial a service, an organization in some capacity. I'm not huge knowledgeable on the F5 big IP, but I know it's a network appliance. So the final thing I will say about this, and this is just kind of an editorial on our industry at large, this particular vulnerability desperately needed a cool name with a logo. And I'm not just saying that to be flippant, right? But like okay, F5 big IP. So like how about we give it like a Sasquatch looking crazy look or something and call it like the big like Bigfoot, Big IP, or something like AKA Bigfoot. Like, I feel like when these vulnerabilities that are major news stories that have major impact organizations, they need like the ones that get the name like Shell Shock or Spectre or Bluekeep or Log4Shell, which wasn't really even that good a one. Like Kevin Beaumont came up with that and he was joking. But the ones that get logos and cool names get way more pub, right? The mainstream media picks it up because they can sell that name. F5 Big IP vulnerability doesn't have sex to it, right? Or it's not spicy. Okay. So it's not going to sell. So I don't know who's in charge. I think it's kind of a decentralized approach to naming these things and giving up, like the community kind of does it. But CISA really needs to take hold of that and have somebody in the art department work on naming and coming up with logos for these things because they go a lot further in awareness.
Kick China off social media, says tech governance expert. Samir Saran is president of Delhi-based think tank Observer Research Foundation, is also a commissioner of the Global Commission on the Stability of Cyberspace, and is a member of Microsoft's Digital Peace Now initiative. Speaking at the Black Hat Asia conference, Saran said China's Communist Party sees tech as a means of exerting control and uses social media to deliberately interfere in the affairs of other nations, while simultaneously banning those other nations' access to its digital public square and preventing its own citizens from venturing into global cyberspace. He said, quote, "Mischief abroad is the business model for Chinese tech," end quote.
Okay. This is a politically charged story, so I'm not going to get too deep into the water here. Maybe just like right below the knees, like kind of tidal pool deep, I'll go. Guys, it's time to kick China off social media okay, so that's what they're saying. And the argument here is that China is a communist country and they're pushing, information out to meddle in the business of other governments and not and kind of controlling the message to their population. This is a complete, my opinion, and not the views of Simply Cyber, which kind of is. Dude, every first world power does this, right? Like, with all due respect, I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American. America regularly meddles in other countries' affairs. Look at Iraq, Kuwait. Look what they did in what is it? The Philippines in the 80s. Like, I mean, with all due respect, like this is definitely this story is a biased take by this tech governance expert. I get that they're meddling or whatever, but like all the first world powers meddle in other governments in order to kind of push their agenda, shape their message. So, and then to say like whatever. I mean, I'm not into communism. That's not my bag, but I do appreciate the ability to speak out and have different perspectives as long as it's not hurting anyone or being like hateful or anything like that. So, anyways, this is just further insight and indication of this kind of decoupling of the global economy. It very much seems like China has reached a level of maturity in its own kind of self-sustainment that it's trying to decouple from kind of the global economy and from some other things. And this is just kind of further messaging on that, in my opinion. Okay. Like this is one of those stories that, in my takes on it, that I feel like is going to get me a couple DMs later. So anyways, I don't know one way or the other whether it's time to kick China off social media. It's 8 billion users though. So I'm not sure that the social media companies are going to be like, yeah, that's a good idea, considering the social media companies get paid for people using their platform, right? So, whatever. This is posturing.
Windows updates for May cause AD authentication failures. Microsoft is investigating a known issue causing authentication failures for some Windows services after installing updates released during the May 2022 Patch Tuesday. This comes after Windows admins started sharing reports of some policies failing after installing this month's security updates, seeing a message that reads, quote, "Authentication failed due to a user credentials mismatch. Either the username provided does not map to an existing account or the password was incorrect," end quote. The issue impacts client and server Windows platforms and systems running all Windows versions, including the latest available releases, Windows 11 and Windows Server 2022. A patch for the patch is upcoming.
Nice. The patch for the patch is upcoming. Okay, guys, this one is a great opportunity, a great story for us to talk about fundamentals of information security and how we interface with IT. Guys, patches come out, Patch Tuesday, right? Microsoft recently moved to like more roll-up patches and stuff like that. Good on Microsoft, and we want that. We want you to patch the Microsoft systems, obviously, guys, right? That's why they come out. Here are the fundamentals that you got to know about and why it matters, okay? Because we talk about things in like optimal use cases and optimal textbook settings, and reality is reality. And when you get punched in the face, if you're not prepped for it, it really stings. If you're ready to take the punch, right? It's not so bad. Although my front tooth is chipped, if you've ever noticed that from from getting punched in the mouth. So, listen, when you have someone patches can break things. So here are the 2 tips that you need to be mindful of, okay? And you can use this in an interview. So people who are kind of further along in their career, this might be a rehash for you, okay? When you roll patches out, you need to roll them out in a concentric circle, basically, right? So you test it. You just test it on like 1 machine or 2 machines. Does the patch work? Does it break the machine? No? Okay, then roll it out to a test population. Like usually IT's on board with this because they can fix it themselves if it breaks. Then you push it out to a larger population, like security champions. You should have these people in your organization. So like someone in marketing, someone in sales, someone in finance, someone in obviously IT, R&D, management, remote workers, on-prem workers, international workers. Like you need like a nice potpourri of end users that are a separate group that you can push the patches to, and they're basically being the pilots or the test cases for their avatar of their group. And then once they don't break, you roll it out mainstream. And that's why patches at large organizations, when you're like, this patch, like a perfect one, is the Eternal Blue SMB one, the Microsoft, what was that, 2017, like 0130 or whatever it was. Anyways, the one that Eternal Blue was blowing up, like it would be like a month or 2 later, and people like, how is this still open? Like when WannaCry rolled across Europe, and people were flipping out about the patch has been out, and like the news was reporting. Well, it's because it's a pain in the ass to roll out when you have 200,000 endpoints, right? It takes time, especially when you encounter problems that break critical applications or something like that. So this Windows causes AD authentication failures. This is definitely troublesome for some organizations, but no organization, you'll get your ass slapped. No, that's not right. You'll get your wrist slapped, and you'll lose political capital if you push out patches to the full enterprise without doing any testing. Okay. Second thing, and this is why you would do testing. This is a perfect case because you could brick your entire environment or DOS them at least. Second thing, you need rollback strategies, right? Normally for like a Windows endpoint, you can just roll the patch back, no big deal. But when you do any of these things, make sure that you have a rollback plan. When you do change control, you're supposed to say, what's the change? Have you tested it? What's the rollback strategy? Like there's a reason for rollback strategy because you need to get back to known good state, or else you're going to be in this like mucked up, messed up state. And you know what the business does not like? Mucked up, messed up states. That's not good for business. You're not making money if you're all mucked up. Word of the week, muck.
And for your production environment at DataDogHQ.com.
Let me know if the sound effects are too loud
CISO.
too. Trying to
That's
dial those in.
DataDogHQ.com/CISO. Iranian cyber spy group launching ransomware attacks against the US. Over the past several months, Iran-linked cyber espionage group Charming Kitten has been engaging in financially motivated activities, according to the SecureWorks counter-threat unit. In November 2021, a joint advisory from government agencies in the US, the UK, and Australia warned of Iranian state-sponsored attacks targeting critical infrastructure and other organizations through the exploitation of Fortinet 40OS vulnerabilities and a Microsoft Exchange proxy shell bug. Then, in a report in December 2021, Microsoft noted that Charming Kitten was showing high interest in acquiring exploits targeting the Log4j vulnerability to modify and use them in new attacks. And then, in January 2022, the APT was observed using a new PowerShell backdoor. SecureWorks, which tracks this cyber espionage group as Cobalt Mirage, reported yesterday that the group appears to have turned to financially motivated attacks, including the deployment of ransomware. APT gang.
All right. So check this out. Couple things to take away from here, all right? First of all, Iran. They are don't sleep on Iran as far as like an APT. I feel like we always are like, oh, North Korea, China, America. Like we never say America, but like Equation Group is America's APT. It's just that they're pro us, so we typically don't categorize them that way. But India's got some capabilities, but Iran has capabilities, guys. Remember, you don't need to have a huge geopolitical footprint. You don't need to have a massive army. You don't need to have a lot of GDP in order to be a cyber power. That's kind of the beauty of cyber. It you just need software, right? And you need capable operators to execute on it. So, Iranian cyber group, they're doing ransomware against the US, which totally sucks. But APT 39, aka Lazarus Group, aka the financial arm of the North Korean government, cyber financial espionage kind of thing. They kind of wrote the playbook on how to do this. So not surprising that, this APT is doing this. It's guys, you wouldn't protect yourself any different from this APT than you would advanced cyber criminals, right? So same practices. Again, it's ransomware. So I can't say this enough. I probably need a sound effect for this. You need to be protecting from ransomware, and you need to be practicing recovery from ransomware, and you need to like assess your resiliency to a ransomware attack, right? So protect it from happening, limit it when it does happen, the impact, the blast radius of it, and manage your resiliency to stay operational while you're dealing with a ransomware incident, while you're calling Barricade Cyber Solutions on the phone and having them come help you. The one thing that I do want to point out, and I love this about our industry. I do love it about our industry. So the different this APT is called Charming Kitten. Okay. And by the way, it's because all the Iranian threat actor groups have some type of cat association, right? And I think all the Chinese ones have some type of like panda bear related one, and all the Russian ones have like bears, like regular bears, not panda bears. I want to say there's one, maybe it's India, has to do with like different snakes. So, anyways, this is a cute way of labeling them because calling them TA453 just doesn't have that marketability as Charming Kitten. You can't make cool pictures about it. Here's the one thing I want to point out, guys. This same threat actor is called APT35, Magic Hound, Newsbee, Phosphorus, TA453, Charming Kitten. They're all the same. So you'll hear them thrown around different ways. There is no industry standard on naming. These are basically made up by, I think FireEye is the one that has this naming convention, and they're a pretty big player in the space of like incident response. But Barricade Cyber Solutions could start calling this group, the I don't know, the milkshake APT group, right? Like kind of go with that Google style, right? So this could be the milkshake group, and then APT 39 is, the French fries, right? So like, or, breakfast sandwiches, right? So all the North Korean ones are breakfast related, and then all the Iranian ones are all dessert related, right? You could do anything you want. I really wish that our industry would settle on a naming convention that we could all use. That way we're talking about the same thing, because I find this honestly quite confusing, because if you're trying to protect and you're trying to do knowledge sharing and you're trying to reconcile what a different manufacturing company, like say I'm working in manufacturing and a different manufacturing company is being attacked, and they're like, it definitely has all the hallmarks of phosphorus, and I haven't heard of phosphorus yet, or it has all the hallmarks of milkshake because they've adopted Barricade Cyber Solutions. I'm like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound like anything I need to worry about. I'm still focused on Charming Kitten, right? you see how there's a problem there? It's words have meanings, and I don't like how we use different labels. I'm very structured and organized. We should have one label for each APT and agree upon it. Anyways, that's me on a soapbox.
Sidewinder goes on 2-year attack spree across Asia. The gang has in fact conducted almost 1,000 raids, deploying increasingly sophisticated attack methods. According to Kaspersky's global research and analysis team, speaking yesterday at the Black Hat Asia conference, Sidewinder mostly targets military and law enforcement agencies in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and other South Asian nations. Its expanded activities include new obfuscation techniques for the JavaScript it drops into .rtf files, .lnk files, and OpenOffice documents. Kaspersky has observed unique encryption keys deployed across over 1,000 malware samples sourced from the group.
Okay. So obviously Black Hat Asia just happened, so there's a lot of stories coming out of there. Black Hat being like one of the main professional cybersecurity conferences that happens. We mostly think of Black Hat in Vegas in August, but there's a Black Hat Asia. I'm almost positive it's a Black Hat Europe, and then there's Black Hat US, right? So they're just talking about the Sidewinder group. You know, there's nothing really too crazy here. This is kind of their TTP. They use JavaScript and drop it into these type of file types here, RTF, which I think is a font. Is that font or is that like a text file? Can't remember. You know, so you could use this as kind of a TTP or IOC, but you know, whatever. This is just, to me, you shouldn't like it's, I guess it's fine if you're just starting, but like you shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, Sidewinders goes on 2-year attack spree. Like we should just focus exclusively on Sidewinder. If Sidewinder is attacking individuals in your markets, like your vertical or your industry or whatever, right? Like automotive or agriculture or whatever, and it's similar org sizes, right? Then your likelihood of being targeted goes up. But you should be practicing sound information security fundamentals because, dude, if you're just going for like the advanced thing that protects from Sidewinder, you're putting like rims on like a beat up Ford Escort or something, right? Like focus on sound foundational practices and then tweak and modify and configure your security architecture to additionally protect and detect these type of threats if this is what's targeting your environment. Guys, building a house on sand isn't a good idea. You need a strong foundation. That's a reason why you build from the foundation up. All right? It's the same with an information security program. And I know that it's not super cool and it doesn't sell, right? Building a program the right way, slowly and methodically from the ground up. But when you get to the end of the road 2 years later and you've got a really strong, robust program that can adapt and be agile and move to handle whatever the new threat is this week, that's when you really start pumping your chest up and being like, look at this, like we're ready to go. Meanwhile, this org over here, they're very clumsy and clunky because they're not able to adapt and overcome because they built it backwards, right? This is more of an advanced thing about building information security programs, but it's just, you know, these stories kind of call out these one things. So I want to be clear about it.
Novel Nerbian Trojan uses advanced anti-detection tricks. A
It's
newly
novel.
discovered and
Did he just
complex
say
remote
novel?
access Trojan is spreading via malicious email campaigns using COVID-19 lures and includes numerous features to evade analysis or detection by researchers. This according to Proofpoint. Dubbed Nerbian Rat, Nerbian, the novel malware variant is written in the OS-agnostic Go programming language and utilizes significant anti-analysis and anti-reversing capabilities, according to a Proofpoint blog post published on Wednesday. Texas.
Okay. We'll be quick on this one because it's just basically, this is, you know, your garden variety situation. Okay, guys? All right, here we go. Key takeaways on this one. There is phishing campaigns that are going out leveraging COVID-19 as kind of the lure to get you to click in and look around. It looks like it's a URL, not a malicious attachment based on kind of what I'm seeing right here. educate your end users. Your email security gateway should probably be catching these emails already, but it looks like they have it in the story here. They look like they're coming from who.inter.svc@gmail.com. Definitely educate your end users that professional organizations and nonprofits like that are typically not using Gmail. Announce at who-international.com. That one could trick some people. Subject line, World Health Organization. Use these right here. If you're going to do just-in-time end user awareness training for like a, hey, happy Friday, everybody. Here's like a quick tip. Be mindful of this. This is the information you want to include, right? Looks like they might have some links here to like what the emails actually look like. So be mindful of that. It's a remote access Trojan. You don't want those running on your endpoints, right? It allows threat actors to jump in there. The cool thing I want to share with you is that this is just another example of malware that's being written in Go. Go is like the new cool, right? Like, you know, if you're more into TikTok than you are into LinkedIn, right? Like the new coolness. Go is where it's at right now. Go is basically, you know, it's not a new concept of write once, run anywhere. That's what Java did in the late 90s. Arr, get off my lawn. Listen, Go allows the malware to be executed across platforms, right? So whether you have a Mac, an Android device, a Windows machine, right? The malware can like I don't know if it has to be recompiled or if you just need the interpreter on the device. I'm not exactly sure, but the point is it can run across platforms, so it's not like architecture dependent. That is interesting. This Nerbian rat is one, but a lot of malware is starting to do that, which basically just means you're going to see an increase in malware executing on different platforms. That's all it means. It's not like Go gives some like additional functionality that new malware didn't have before, like hiding stealthily or something like that. They did just put in here, and it's worth noting that this piece of malware is being written to, it has anti-analysis mechanisms in it. That just means that when security researchers get a copy of it and they're trying to look at it, or if your defensive security posture at your organization relies on taking like let's say that it takes the attachment off the email and detonates it in a sandbox and looks at the behavior. This particular piece of malware would probably pass that type of automated analysis because it's going to detect that it's being analyzed and it's going to shut itself down. It won't reach out to a C2 server. It won't try to like insert itself into a process or allocate memory or something like that. So you've got to be mindful, you guys. You cannot, like, I know it sucks, but you cannot treat automated analysis in sandboxes as, you know, scripture, right? There are ways, and this is a perfect example of malware looking at, before it fully executes its payload, looking at the system that it's executing on and determining whether or not it's being analyzed. It's not that difficult to be able to tell whether or not you're being analyzed. I know we like to think that we're super cool and super stealthy, but you can tell if you're being analyzed in a lot of cases.
Man gets 5 years for stealing 38,000 PayPal account credentials.
Good.
Marcos Ponce, 37, of Austin, was also ordered to pay $1.4 million in restitution, according to a Justice Department press release. Court documents in the case show that from at least November 2015 until November 2018, Ponce and his co-conspirators established buyer accounts on an illegal online marketplace which sold stolen payment account credentials along with complimentary personal identification. Prosecutors contend that Ponce and his co-conspirators developed social engineering techniques so that they could dupe third parties into accepting money transfers from the compromised PayPal accounts before transferring the money into accounts that they controlled. Remember to
All right, so this dude gets 5 years of jail and has to pay $1.4 million. 30, so he was basically buying compromised PayPal accounts, right? That's what he was doing. He was buying them from a dark web website of compromised PayPal accounts. No big deal. Like this happens all the time. People know about it. What I don't get is $1.4 million in restitution. This dude will be in jail until he's 42. 38,000 accounts. I'm wondering if he was able to make more than $1.4 million. I don't want to go to jail for 5 years. I don't want to go to jail for 30 minutes. Okay. So I don't know if it's really worth it, but I will say I'm curious. I'm curious. Okay, guys. I'm not saying that you have to be apathetic because this happens so much, but like these accounts get sold on the dark web all the time. I've never really seen a news story or a book being thrown at someone like this for it. So I'm glad that they're doing this. I wish that this was making bigger headlines to scare those kind of fringe people who are like dabbling in dark web and buying these things kind of like, like not true full-time criminals who are like, like I want to burn the system down kind of thing. So this is an interesting story. It just shows that there are repercussions for your decisions in the dark web. Behavior doesn't make you anonymous. Obviously, they're able to identify you and follow you. So that's basically the story there. Not too crazy. All right, yeah, 38,000 PayPal accounts is a ton though. That's a lot of people. All right, guys. That's what I was saying, Black Knight. Like, if he was able to make like say $10 million and he had like $8 million, even put it this way, even if he made $5 million in profit, would you go to jail for $1 million a year? Right? Like, I don't know. I like I said, I don't want to go to jail for a minute, but if I'm not getting paid $1 million a year to do my job. So there is an argument, or at least it's a fun conversation over beers this Friday, right? Obviously the PayPal people, they took it on the chin, and maybe individuals were personally affected, right? So I'm not endorsing or saying whatever, but $1 million for a year of jail, would you do it? Like it's a conversation to have, like I said, at a happy hour. All right, guys. I want to share a couple things with you. Later today, I will be broadcasting on ThreatGen's channel at 3:30 p.m. for our weekly deep dive. Now, for some of you who are not aware, the deep dive is one story that we covered during the week on Simply Cyber's daily cyber threat briefing. And on the ThreatGen channel, where I also stream, we go deep into that one particular story. I'm almost positive this story that we're going deep on today is that capability that the UK has where you can report phishes and how that's government controlled. It's a really interesting story, right? Like on its surface, it makes sense. Like, oh, hey, like someone sent me a phish, I can just report it to the government and the government can help handle that. But like, what the heck actually is happening there? Can I report someone that's a legitimate email and like bring down my business competition because the government is now stifling their comms? How much manpower does the government have to dedicate that any citizen can submit to this list? Obviously, there's got to be some AI ML. So what's that look like? That's the deep dive that we're getting. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, it's definitely a compliment to the daily cyber threat briefing. I'm trying not to say first things first anymore. Also at 4 o'clock on the Simply Cyber channel. So this channel right here, if you're watching, we are doing What's on Your Radar. Now, this is a little bit different. This is 3 senior industry professionals, one of them being me, one of them being Eric Taylor. And then today we're going to be joined by the Haunted Hacker, AKA Mike Jones. And we basically, the format is 3 people, each one gets 10 minutes, 5 minutes to talk about something that's on their radar, and then 5 minutes of open discussion with the panel and chat about that particular item. And then we pivot. It's a very tightly packed 30-minute show. And we stay on the rails, and we just boom, 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 boom. It's a great way to start the weekend if you're into cybersecurity, because you're hearing what piqued the interest of these individuals. Just as a spoiler, I'll be talking about NIST's 800-161-R1, the cybersecurity supply chain risk management. I did a whole live stream, kind of renegade style, yesterday. Didn't tell anyone about it, and I flipped out for an hour, so I'm ready to flip out for another 10 minutes. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Simply Cyber's daily cyber threat briefing. If you have a minute, you got value out of this, definitely hit that thumbs up. It helps tell me that you guys dig this. More importantly, if you can share it with your socials, that really helps. I'm making a concerted effort to get the daily cyber threat briefing in front of more people. I really honestly am passionate about how much value I think it brings, plus the networking. You guys are in here every morning, chatting each other up, giving each other encouragement. Lupe's got the interview coming up. We all know what's going on. Yeah, we hit a new record today. We were at 122. So much love to all of you for that. All right, guys, if you're not subbed, hit a sub, but if you want to be part of the community, you know what to do. So I don't need to really say it. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. Be good. We'll do that. Thanks everybody. Cheers. See you at 3:30.